They're screaming in my head again. They're playing with my eyes so I can't focus. I'm like moving them inward. They're in my head saying, I want your kids to die. They're terrorists. They're Egyptian American Muslim women terrorists. And their husbands. What I hear are women's voices. So if, like, let's say he is using a voice changer, one of them, they're using voice changers. And at this point, I'm saying they're women, so they may not show up. But once they're like really surveilling, especially California, to find out who's MIA and who's doing what and when and where and why, I swear to God, these terrorists are dead because they're not emailing, they're not texting, they're sitting in front of that stupid. They're sitting here talking in my fucking head. Wow. From the same fucking location. He says he's gonna he's gonna murder me. They're talking in my head. For 3 years, I thought it was my neighbors or in the police department. Like I just thought it was crazy. They're afraid that I'm going to sit here for the next 4 years and be very honest about hearing them in my head. They want so badly for me not to say anything. So they're torturing me, hoping that I'll get tired of the torture enough to want them to murder me. Like like submitting like this. They're psychologically ill. They're talking in my head. I want them sentenced to death. If I get to that point, then I am actually psychologically ill. Then that is when I'm actually psychologically ill. They're screaming, that bitch wants my kids to die. In my head. There's something. They're Egyptian. I'm so sorry. I'm not racist. And I don't think all Egyptian American Muslims are terrorists. They're a select few. And the problem is they're using their identities on their birth certificates to hide behind. But not their identities. They're like where it says Muslim on their birth certificate. Obviously not their identities or their parents, because they come from a Muslim family, but they're actually terrorists. They're not Muslims. These are terrorists. I want them in fucking caskets. I want them sentenced to death. I cannot believe this. I will say it every day. I'm going to be in front of cameras for forever. And then and thank you, God, the Central Intelligence Agencies, they can see right through my eyes what these terrorists are saying can see me doing. So, like, I have like double eyes, like making sure that these terrorists aren't lying. The only thing that is a glitch in this telepathy technology is that if someone were to use it to talk into your head, whoever's overseeing it, that can't step down from his seat to say, I don't believe you, I'm going to go listen to it myself, can't decipher if in fact they hear it from outside or if it's in your head. You have to make that clear. Okay? They're lying bitches. Mind you, okay? If you're not, like, if you haven't committed suicide and they're saying stuff like that, and they're going to continue, like, there's just, things are, as I'm like thinking and harder, and I'm like, 6 years, these bitches are trying to frame people. They're running a schmuck. And then I'm thinking, these terrorists, not only that, they're not using people's voices. They're using original voices. And then I'm thinking, why are they talking? Oh my gosh, they have friends and no one wants to be held responsible for anybody else. And they can easily disguise it. And the more I keep thinking, I'm like, oh, there's money involved. Oh, there's this. Oh, okay, well here. And then I start brainstorming like, okay, this must be the reason for them, doing this or doing that, or because they'll sit there and they'll say in my head, like, haha, your fucking kids are gonna die. We're gonna fucking watch your kids die. I'm gonna stab you and your fucking kids to death. They'll say stupid shit, weird shit like that in my head. In my head. So I'll start recording immediately because I'm like, okay, I know it's not my neighbors. These bitches are fucking sick. They're playing games in my head. Right? And then someone's saying that in your head. Or they're saying, they're saying in my head, they want my kids to die. Dude, what the fuck? And then playing with your feelings and manipulating your feelings. I was going to say, though, I'm going to think about this. I'm going to ponder on this because they keep saying this like crazy stuff, like things about murder and like all crazy stuff. And I keep thinking, well, if the Central Intelligence Agencies are watching my brain activity to watch if I lift something, if drugs are the cause, like they're so well versed in what's what at this point that the terrorists there's a lot of layers to it, but let's just talk about points of reference, and I'm me being one of them, right? So if they're well versed, then these terrorists, because I'm going to say something that sounds a little out, but these are mind control weapons, okay? But with the Central Intelligence agents, and I'm talking about United States, not all of them, because the ones governing over the ones I'm listening to are probably not fully investigating these, unless they jumped ship because of these terrorists, and now they're working with the United States to bring these terrorists down, and they've actually allowed them to take control of it. That way they can start to eliminate who's who, basically, because it may look like they blended the lines, and there's gray areas where you're like, okay, I don't actually know if they're playing me and they're actual criminals or they're victims. So anyways, but nonetheless, the Central Intelligence agents, if they're well versed in knowing what's what, right? Except for that, like, they don't know who's saying it, if it's outside or if it's in my head. So I keep thinking, well, if in fact I was in danger, right, and something looks suspicious, and these Central Intelligence agents, right, were to say, well, why didn't you investigate the rest of it? Or why didn't anybody else call the cops? Or why wasn't there anything other than this record to provide the evidence, right? Then these voices, if that's the case, then I'm brainstorming, so I'm everywhere right now, and please forgive me, because this is really what I do when I sit at home and I'm like, what is going on inside my head? And I'm like, okay, let's say the Central Intelligence agents say, well, why is it only this record? Why aren't there witnesses to this? Why aren't there police records? Why is it just your record that you have, right? And so I keep thinking, well, these terrorists are really trying to break, this is me, possibility, maybe they're trying to break that person's confidence, make them feel uncomfortable being honest. Why wouldn't they? Why aren't the terrorists, like, why wouldn't they just murder me if they're talking like that in my head? And I keep thinking, and I keep thinking, and I keep thinking, they're talking in my head. Like, I could just have a sudden heart attack right now. So, and I'm like, well, it's going to look suspicious if I get sick, right? And I go, and all this time, they could have presented records to the Central, like, these are like such important records that, they're showing my brain activity. Like, this is, so they can start studying, okay, what is responsible for what causes heart attacks, what causes cancer, what causes this. So the minute, the terrorists that are talking in my head have to understand, it's not like they're just being permitted to use this classified weapon. They have to be doctors, they have to be they have to have some type of a medical degree to sit there, and so they can identify when something is occurring, so that they can take it to a higher department or division to review the records and say, hey, we're not at all liable. This just happened, so it doesn't look like they're trying to murder you, right? And even before that, it's like, if they found nothing, why would they even wait till you're sick to provide evidence? So I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. They can't wait that long. They can't wait till you die and they're talking in your head and don't say shit. They can't wait till you, they can't sit there and knowing you did drugs and not say shit. They can't sit there in your head and hear all the stuff and not say shit. So, and so all I'm thinking is, well, maybe they're, okay, Renee, she's just losing her mind because she's doing drugs. They were probably watching TV. Like, what would they come up with to cover up that, why they didn't go report the shit I'm hearing in my head? I'm baffled at the moment. I'm so sorry. I'm thinking and I'm thinking and I'm thinking and I'm thinking and I'm like, something's not adding up. So I'm going to think about it some more, and I'm going to start coming up with conclusions as to why that is. They're playing with my head, so I feel a little stumped, and I'm pretty sure I would come to more conclusions, but I can tell there's like this pressure right here on my head, and he's playing with my eyes, and like there's just a lot going on. And then, as you can see, my forehead, if you saw my forehead before, it was like half the size. Now it's like they stretch my forehead skin. They make me swell every day. They made my hair fall back, so I look like I have a receding hairline. This is unbelievable. Anyways, I'll brainstorm that some more until I figure out what's going on. All right, bye.